The Olympic qualification in badminton has resumed. After more than 1 year of hiatus, the Swiss Open marked the resumption of the tournaments counting for Olympic qualification. In this video, we take a closer look at the Race to Tokyo list in all 5 categories. Where are the players standing, who's qualified, who's on the verge of qualifying, and who is most likely to miss out on the Tokyo Games. 15th of June, that is the cutoff date for the Olympic qualification, the date that almost all players are looking forward to at the moment. But some players are in a hurry to gather the last qualification points needed in order to secure the flight to Japan in late July. Unfortunately, a number of tournaments have been cancelled due to the coronavirus, so it makes sense to take a look at which tournaments is actually still remaining in the Olympic qualification period. And here we can see that there's actually only 8 tournaments remaining. Some tournaments even clash in terms of being played in the same week, and that means that there's in fact only 7 tournaments for a single player or pair to participate in. Furthermore, the Peru International and Portuguese International in week 16 and week 18, they offer very, very few points. So I think most players will not rely on those tournaments to secure them the last points needed. Recent cancellation is the Asia Championship. It was supposed to have been staged in week 17. And of course, that's a huge deficit to the Asian players trying to qualify. Biggest tournaments left is clearly the Malaysia Open, the second last tournament before the qualification period ends, combined with India Open and Singapore Open. So first we take a look at the men's singles. There's no doubt that the man in the picture, Kento Momota, is going to qualify for Olympics on home soil. Here is the Race to Tokyo list, the list that will determine the qualification for the Olympic Games in Tokyo. It's calculated the same way as the world ranking list, but it covers only the Olympic qualification tournament. Normally, they would have taken place from April 2019 to May 2020. As you can see on the list, there's some national Olympic committees that are represented by more than one players in top 16. And the rule is that you can qualify 2 players if both are within top 16. If there's more than 2 players within top 16, it's the National Olympic Committee that has to select between these players who of them are going to go to Tokyo. And as you can see, Indonesia, they have 3 players currently qualified in top 16. That's why Cesar Rustavito has his name written in red. The same goes for Denmark, where Rasmus Gemke currently holds the spot as number 16. And these 2 players, the players in red, they will only have a chance to go to Tokyo should there be a withdrawal from one of the players from the same National Olympic Committee. That means for Rasmus Gemke, should either Anders Antonsen or Victor Axelsen for some reason not go to Tokyo, then the next player asked will be Rasmus Gemke. The players in green are the players that either already has qualified mathematically or, in my opinion, stand a really good chance of securing qualification come 15th June. Even though some players have already qualified for the games, there's still a lot to play for in the remaining tournaments, as the seedings are also done according to the Race to Tokyo list. We can see that, for instance, Victor Axelsen and Anthony Ginting, they're in a battle for the 4th seed at the moment, and this is something that the players find quite important, that you don't risk playing the best players too early in the tournament. Now, if we look at the players from 17 to 31 on the Race to Tokyo list, we can see that it's only Hieu Kwang-hee on 31 who is currently qualified for the Olympics. However, Kenta Nishimoto is just outside of top 16. There's two of his compatriots in front of him, Kento Momota and Kanta Tsuneyama. So if he can manage to squeeze into top 16, for instance, instead of Rasmus Gemke or perhaps Rustavito from Indonesia, then he's selectable for the Japanese Olympic Committee. They could select him instead of Kanta Tsuneyama. And also, if one of the two players, even if he's not selected, then if Tsuneyama or Momota is injured before the games, then Nishimoto will have a chance to go. If we then look at Lee Chuk-yu from Hong Kong, he's outside of top 16 and he's got Ng Ka-long in front of him. So that means that Lee needs to get into top 16 to be qualified. Then he would qualify as the second player from Hong Kong. He needs to catch either Rasmus Gemke or Rustavito or some of the players in top 14 at the moment. The same goes for Shrikant Kidambi, the former world number one, who is fighting to also squeeze into top 16. Sai Praneeth is already qualified in top 16, and that means that Shrikant, he's got a tough job to do because he also needs to catch Rasmus Gemke, and as you can see, it's almost 6,000 points he needs to score in the remaining tournaments to squeeze into top 16. And remember that he's also in competition with Lee Chuk-yu, Kenta Nishimoto for the last spots amongst top 16. So it doesn't look too good for the former world number one, Shrikant Kidambi. The last one that I've highlighted here on this page is Kunlavut Vitisan, the three-time world junior champion. He made a very, very good result for himself in Swiss Open, where he reached the final. He needs to do even better. He also needs to squeeze into top 16. His compatriot, the World Championship bronze medalist Kantafon Rangcharoen, is already in top 16. If Vitisan can squeeze out one of the other players in top 16, then he will qualify for the Olympics as well. In the next batch of players here, I've deselected the players that have no chance or a very, very slim chance of qualifying for Tokyo. They would have to overperform compared to what we've seen so far. The interesting thing here is Son Wan-ho, and you can notice that I've also included Hugh Kwang-hee in this table here. Son Wan-ho, who has been out for so long with injury, he is currently only the second Korean on the Race to Tokyo list. So Hugh Kwang-hee is qualified at world ranking number 31, but it wouldn't be totally out of the question that the Korean National Olympic Committee could choose to send Son Wan-ho instead of Hugh Kwang-hee if they feel that he has a better chance of doing well in the Olympics. Anyway, he's been out for a big part of the Olympic qualification period, so perhaps his conditions hasn't been the same as Hugh Kwang-hee. So the National Olympic Committee can choose between the players as long as these players would still be within the qualification limit overall for the Race to Tokyo. In the last part of the men's singles Race to Tokyo list, it's also for the most part players who have already qualified or are certain of qualifying to the Olympic Games. However, there are still some players who are in a battle, but mostly with their compatriots. We can see that Kai Schäfer currently is qualified for Germany, but Max Weiskirchen is approximately 5,000 points behind him. That would, in my opinion, be surprising if Weiskirchen was to catch up on his compatriot, but it can be done if suddenly he should strike good form, Weiskirchen. Similar case for Vladimir Malkov, who is currently second from The National Olympic Committee of Russia, Sergei Sirant, is ahead of him and currently holds the qualification spot. However, there's only 700 points between them, and I actually think Malko is going to pull this off. He seems to be the preferred men's single from Russia, and with the European Championships coming up in April, I think there's a good chance that he will pass his compatriot and take the Russian spot in men's single. Then we have a battle in Finland between Eetu Hainu and Kalle Koljonen. Koljonen 3,000 points ahead, and I think he will make it to the Olympics as well. The final players on this list from 35 to 41 are the players that are reliant on other players qualifying in 2 events. Everything regarding qualification for Olympic Games is based on numbers of beds. Yes, that's right, numbers of beds. Badminton has 172 beds in the Olympic city. That means 86 male players, 86 female players. If players qualify in more than one event, they sort of free up beds. Those free beds will be given to a single player from the same gender. So that means that Mark Lamsfus, who is currently qualified in men's doubles and mixed doubles, he will free one bed, and the qualification spot will go to the next male singles player. There will not be extra double pairs invited for Tokyo Games. Now let's take a look at women's singles, where the lady in the picture here is definitely going to qualify for Tokyo. Again, we have top 16 in the Race to Tokyo list, and the 12 seeds in blue. And we can see that Sayaka Takahashi from Japan, she's the 3rd qualifier, and she has no chance of catching up on Akane Yamaguchi or Nozomi Okuhara. So the only way Sayaka Takahashi is going to play on home soil is if one of her compatriots should fall ill or get injured. There's a very close battle going on between Busanan Ongbong Rumfan and Pompavi Chochowong from Thailand for the qualification spot. Rachana Gintanon, as you can see, is currently ranked 6th, and I don't think any of the 2 players are going to catch her in the Race to Tokyo list. However, they're very close. It's almost 600 points, 650 points that is dividing them at the moment, and Pompavi Chochowong, she really helped herself by reaching the semifinal in Swiss Open, losing to Carolina Marin. So she's getting closer and closer to Busanan, and the way I saw them in Swiss, I think that it's going to be Chochowong who eventually is going to take the 2nd spot from Thailand. Another battle that's going on is between Wang Jiyi and Hebing Zhao. Chen Yufei is well ahead as number 1 on the list, and it's hard to see China deselecting Chen Yufei as one of the Chinese representatives. So the last spot is between Hebing Zhao and Wang Jiyi, and bear in mind that there might only be 3 tournaments left for China to play before the qualification period ends. So it's looking bleak for Wang Jiyi. Remember, however, that she could still be selected by the Chinese National Olympic Committee ahead of Hebing Zhao. That has been seen before. Last time was in 2012, where Li Shirui was selected ahead of Wang Xishan, who at that time were higher up on the ranking. But we all know the story. Li Shirui went on to win the gold at those games. So still a chance for Wang Jiyi, but she probably will have to be selected ahead of Hebing Zhao. I don't think she'll qualify by merit. The last battle here in top 16 is a Korean one. We have the same situation where An Se-young is well ahead of her 2 compatriots. Song Ji-hyun is 500 points behind Kim Ga-eun, so that's also really, really close, too close to call. There might be a bit of luck in it as well as to who gets the better draws in the upcoming tournaments. So next is the players currently placed between 16, as I've included Sung Ji-hyun again to show where the cutoff is at number 16, and number 50, Sabrina Jacquet. There's still 1, 2, maybe 3 seeded spots to look out for these players. But the first thing that comes to mind is that Saina Nehwal is not in top 16. We have the world champion PV Sindhu qualified amongst top 16, but Saina Nehwal is not there, and she's actually quite far behind. To qualify for the Olympics, Saina Nehwal needs to catch Sung Ji-hyun at number 16. She needs to get into number 16 to get 2 qualification spots for India. She's 7,563 points behind Sung Ji-hyun, and remember that Sung is also fighting to overtake her compatriot Kim Ga-eun, so it's not going to be easy. She's also going to have to overtake the players between Sung and herself, namely Beiwen Zhang, Mia Blichfeld, and Gregoria Mariska Tunjung, who's fighting to get a seeding at the Olympics. So it's a tough job for Saina Nehwal to qualify, and I don't think she's going to make it, I'm afraid. So the other battle in this table is between the 2 Vietnamese players, Nguyen and Vu. That could also go either way. Only 700-800 points in between those 2 players. So then to the last table of women's singles, where remember I've deselected the players that has no chance of qualifying, or a very, very slim chance that they would have to overperform wildly compared to what we've seen from them so far. The only challenge situation here is with the 2 Bulgarian players. Linda Teixeira currently holds the qualification spot, but Maria Mitsova is only 34 points behind Linda Teixeira, so that is a thriller in my opinion. We can see again there's players which qualification number is in parentheses, and they are dependent on other players qualifying in 2 events. As it looks now, there's a fair chance that also Haramara Gaitan from Mexico and Maria Ulitina from Ukraine would also qualify for Tokyo 2021. In mixed doubles, the 2 world champions here, they're already qualified, but in mixed doubles, things are really, really complicated. It's rather simple with the first 6 pairs, and they can all qualify, even though there's 2 players from China. But in the mixed doubles, compared to the singles, all the doubles categories, the cutoff is top 8. To get 2 representatives for 1 national Olympic committee, both pairs have to be in top 8. Another difference to the singles category is that in the doubles there's only 4 seeded pairs. The tournament is played in a group stage play with 4 groups of 4, 1 seed in each group. That means you can get a very, very tough seeding where you can get in group with number 5, 6, and 7 on the Race to Tokyo list, or you can also be in a lucky group and draw number 14, 15, and 16 as a seed. So very important to get one of the 4 seedings in the doubles categories. Now when we look past top 6 in the mixed doubles, then the thriller starts, because you can see that Go Liu Ying and Chen Peng-sun, the Olympic silver medalist from 2016, they're currently qualified, but there's 2 other Malaysian pairs chasing them. Either Go Sun Huat, Shewan Jamie Lai, or Tan Kian Meng and Lai Pei Jing, they could qualify by surpassing Go and Chan, or they could also push out Faisal and Vijaya from top 8. That would give Malaysia 2 pairs in top 8, and thus both would be qualified. At the moment, it's Faisal and Vijaya who's in top 8, together with Praveen Jordan and Octavianti. So currently Indonesia holds 2 qualification spots in the mixed doubles, but that could change. We can also see that it's a tight race in between the 2 English pairs. Chris and Gabby Adcock currently outside of the qualification, as Marcus Ellis and Lauren Smith looks to take the English spot in mixed doubles. Of course, if both pairs can get within top 8, they would be qualified. I don't think that's likely, and I also think that Ellis and Smith have quite a healthy lead in the race over the Adcocks, almost 7,000 points, 6,500 points or so. So if we look at Praveen Jordan and Octavianti, they're number 4, so they're quite safe. But right now we have Faisal and Vijaya, who's also qualified for Indonesia. And if they fall out of top 8, then things start happening when we look at the next players again, because here we see that currently it's Mark Lamsfus and Isabel Hertrig who's at risk. There's 4 pairs chasing them, 2 from Chinese Taipei with Li Jiehui and Suya Ching as the closest one, but also the Danes, Boyer, Christiansen, the Russians, and the Indians, Rankireddy and Ponnappa, who's only played 10 tournaments and has a chance of improving quite dramatically. However, if Faisal and Vijaya should fall out of top 8, then things are totally changing, because then Li Jiehui and Suya Ching would be qualified. Unless it's one of the 2 Malaysian pairs who takes the spot in top 8, then it would be status quo in the situation. But should, for instance, Ellis and Smith take the number 8 spot instead of Faisal and Vijaya, then Li Jiehui and Suya Ching would be qualified for the Olympics and would be the ones that is chased by Christiansen, Boyer, the Russians, and Rankireddy and Ponnappa. If we look at the lower part, the lower table here, we see the pairs that have a confederation spot, and that means that all 5 confederations, Europe, Asia, Pan America, Oceania, and Africa, they all need to have a spot in the Olympic tournament. In the doubles categories, though, there's a rule that says to get one of those confederation spots, you need to be in top 50. So should Simon Leung and Grania Somerville, who's currently ranked 48th, should they fall out of top 50, they won't be able to use that confederation spot that they have currently. Should that be the case, then Christiansen and Boyer from Denmark would qualify unless they were overtaken by Alimov, Davletova, Rankireddy and Ponnappa. So very complicated race in the mixed doubles category. Women's doubles is one of the categories where it's actually quite straightforward. Japan is defending champion, but it's not going to be Matsutomo and Takahashi who wins the title this year. The top 14 players is fairly straightforward. The ones in green are almost certain of qualifying, and the ones that are toned out in grey have slim or zero chance of overtaking their compatriots. It should be noted, however, of course, that Chang Yena and Kim Hai Rin currently is within top 8, and that means that in case of illness or injury with either Lee So-hee, Shin Jung-chan, or Kim So-young and Kong Hye-young, they would get the invitation. So in that case, the 8th spot could become important for the two Korean pairs currently not qualified, and for the former world junior champions Matsuyama and Shida, so that in case anything unfortunate should happen, they would get the invitation. That goes, of course, also for Liu and Mei and Zhang Yu. Seedings, again, reasonably straightforward. Nakahara and Matsuyama, the world champions, they could, of course, hope to overtake Chen Qingchen and Jia Yifan on the second place, so that they would get a better seating for the group stage play. After rank 14, there's some small complications. Chloe Birch, Lauren Smith, Selena Peak, Cheryl Sain, as you can see here, they're currently qualified, and there's a slight chance that they might fall out of qualification. They're mainly chased by Su Yaqing and Hu Lingfang, but recent results in tournaments doesn't indicate that they will be able to overtake the two European pairs. Further down the list, the Russians, Ponapa, Reddy, Lefeltran, and Effler and Hertrich, they still have a chance, but it's a slim chance, and they really need to do well in the tournaments coming up here in April and May to qualify. The remaining three pairs on 14, 15, and 16 spot is all confederation spots, and they're quite certain of qualifying all three of them. In the men's doubles, we're going to see both these two pairs at the Olympics. A lot is settled already amongst the top pairs. The two Japanese pairs, Endo Watanabe and Kamura and Sonoda, seems to be fighting for the last seeding place. None of the chasing pairs have a really big chance of making it into top 8, and the biggest situations is about the Malaysian pairs, Aaron Cha, Suwoo Yik, the BAM pair at the moment, the pair that is still with the Association of Malaysia, is currently qualified, and the two chasers, Go Vi Shem, Tan Wee Kyung, the reigning Olympic silver medalists that are now independent, as is Ong and Teo. They're chasing them, but they're 10,000 points behind, so it's highly unlikely that they will be able to overtake Cha and So. It's also unlikely that two Malaysia pairs will qualify in top 8. So right now it's looking good for the young Malaysian pair. The same could be said for the reigning Olympic bronze medalist Marcus Ellis, Chris Langridge. They are 9,000 points ahead of their compatriots Ben Lane and Sean Wendy, and I really have a tough time seeing that it's not going to be the Olympic bronze medalist who is again going to represent England in Tokyo. In the lower part of the qualifiers, there is some drama though, as Jelle Maas and Robin Tabeling, they are currently qualified for the Olympics. However, Jelle Maas has retired from his international badminton career, and of course he might make a comeback for the Olympics. I think though that it's highly unlikely that the Dutch NOC would select them for the Olympics. So that means, and that's why they've already been highlighted in green, that means that Philip Chu and Ryan Chu from the United States are currently qualified on Race to Tokyo ranking spot number 38. They are chased a little by Bodin Isara and Manipong Jongjit, but they haven't really won a first round match on a regular basis, the two Thai players, and I doubt that they are really chasing Olympic qualification. One of the things though that could still push Chu and Chu out of the Olympic tournament is if Simon Leung, Mitchell Weller from Australia, or Oliver Leighton Davis and Abhinav Minota, if they make it into top 50, they will be eligible for a confederation spot in men's doubles, and that could push Philip Chu, Ryan Chu out of the tournament. So as you can see, there's a lot of things that are already decided in terms of Olympic qualification. However, there is still some fiercely contested battles between mostly players from same nation, and there's also the seedings that are really, really important. If you want to see the full list as they are at the moment, then you can check them out on Badminton Experts Facebook page. The link is in the description for this video. And if you liked the video, then please subscribe to the channel and give us a like. And until next time, bye for now.